Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin. I want to talk about the NBA. Now, there's some games coming on tonight. You got the Celtics going against Cleveland, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, bunch of drama with that. So that's what people are going to look at. How will his reception be in Cleveland? Heading back to Cleveland for his first time, not in that uniform. And how some of the pieces of Boston fit, in the first game of the regular season. It looked good in preseason, but that's preseason, man. That's preseason. Guys aren't going 110%. And also with Cleveland, they had a lot of pieces that they brought in. Of course, they moved some guys out. Not really any major outside of course, Kyrie. But that's going to be an interesting game. Then the next game, you have the Houston Rockets playing against the Golden State Warriors. I cannot remember who has a home game or whatnot. But the whole thing is Chris Paul. I want to see how Chris Paul and James Harden play together. That's the big thing coming into that game. We want to see that both ball dominant players. James Harden played a lot of point guard last year. So will he go back to the shooting guard role? Will he be willing to let Chris Paul be the guy who really handles the ball majority of the games in the regular season? If you look at preseason, man, that's a lot. Preseason is a lot who's gonna make the team. And the same thing I said about the NFL. It's who's gonna make the team. Seeing how allowing guys to get some reps in against other teams and all in a full game. But you get to the regular season, it's totally different, man. It just is. Guys aren't trying as hard. There's certain guys that don't even play as many minutes. Look at a guy like LeBron. Didn't play as many minutes and also didn't play majority of the preseason games. So that don't look at preseason as a barometer of how teams are gonna play, either good or bad. But those are gonna be two interesting games. Golden State coming in with relatively the same team. But what I want to talk about is what to look forward to in the NBA season. Of course, outside of really just talking about these games that come on tonight, but what to look forward to regular season. And we talk about each team. I want to talk about some of the major teams. We start with the East. Of course, Cleveland. We'll see how a guy like Wade, who got bought out by Chicago, how he plays with them. With that Cleveland team, playing with his old buddy LeBron James from Miami Heat days. Also, well, Isaiah Thomas is not going to be back for a while, but Derrick Rose, in preseason, yeah, and I was just talking about preseason. I saw that burst of speed, which is a good sign for them if he can stay healthy, because he's had ever since the ACL tear years back with the Bulls, he hasn't really been the same, and he was bad with the Knicks. So maybe he doesn't have to do as much. Maybe he can provide something for that team, especially with that void of no Kyrie Irving and, of course, no Isaiah Thomas for a good half of the season. They also bring Jose Calderon, who's a good bench player at that point guard position, so that definitely helps them out at point guard position. Another guy who can hit the outside jumper. It was something they definitely need. My issue with the Cavs is the backup bigs, but I still think they're going to be, if not number one, number two. I don't see him going below number two. And the only team I can see going ahead of him is that Boston team. But we got to see that Boston team throughout the season. But that's still going to be really good. And people are saying that they're not going to be good are insane, especially in that Eastern Conference. No way they go below 2 seed. Well, next team, Boston Celtics. They're going to be the team fighting Cleveland for that 1-2 seed. More than likely. But they draft Jason Tatum. Of course, the Kyrie thing. You bring in Kyrie. You bring in Gordon Hayward. They looked good in preseason, but yet again, I bring up preseason. How are they going to look in the regular season? I want to see them tonight. And even then, it's going to take a while because of so many pieces coming together. Now, the offseason really helps because these guys go through training camp, because they go through preseason. They do have some reps, and they understand the system that's set in place for them. So that's going to help out a lot of these guys who do come in free agency or via trade or whatever to another team. They got the whole offseason to really kind of mesh. But that's going to be an interesting team to see, of course. Another team, the Wizards. Although the Wizards didn't get much better, but you still like John Wall, Bradley Beal. They paid him a lot. He stayed relatively healthy last season, but his health has always been an issue in the past. Otto Porter got a ridiculous contract, definitely not worth his contract, but they felt as though they had to pay him or he was going to walk, because there were other teams that were pretty much trying to match that offer. So it's going to be interesting to see that Wizards team. Still going to be good. It's still going to be good, but can some of those guys like Otto Porter, with that contract he's getting, can he take that next step? That's the biggest question for him. Can he take that next step? Can he become that reliable third option for them? Can Bradley Beal's shooting be more consistent? Because they were a bad team on the road. You looked at that playoff series against the Celtics. They were horrendous on the road. Horrendous. Next team, Milwaukee Bucks. A lot of young guys, a lot of length. Guy like Thon Maker, 7'1", dude, wingspan is crazy. Giannis, another guy who's improving every year, and I expect that trend to continue. Biggest question, outside of guys like Middleton, Monroe, these guys playing better, Brogdon. Outside of these guys playing better, Jabari Parker's health. Last 2 seasons, he's got big season-ending injuries. Can he stay healthy? Because he's their team's second option. Can he stay healthy? If so, that team can make a lot of noise in the Eastern Conference, especially with teams like the Pacers, like the Bulls, really taking hits in terms of their personnel. Same with like the Hawks. There's another team who are not going to be very good next year either. But can he stay healthy so that team can take that next step? It's a big question. And really outside of that, maybe you could bring up Toronto, but they're a team good in the regular season, give them that. But then they turn into ghosts in the playoffs. That's really all I can say on them. I like Kyle Lowry, but he's a terrible playoff player. I like some of their players, Valanciunas, but yet again, these guys don't perform in the playoffs. But that's really all I want to cover the East. A lot of those other teams, man, the East is not really it hasn't been having a really good past couple of years. Let's just be real. But moving on to the West, of course, Golden State's on top. They kept pretty much all their guys intact. They bring in Omar Caspi, who's a guy who can spread the floor. You bring in Nick Young, another guy who can score, coming off the bench. His job is to score. That's what he did in LA. That's what he did wherever else he was at. Oh, before I really go into Golden State, the Sixers. Ben Simmons, Okafor, Joel Embiid. If these guys can stay healthy, especially with Joel Embiid, who's a guy who hasn't played many games in the last 3 seasons. Ben Simmons having a big injury, even right there before the season. Can these guys stay healthy? Because in that diminished Eastern Conference, they can make some noise. So keep your eyes on that 76ers team. Maybe they can make some noise in that Eastern Conference with some teams definitely taking steps back. And that to me would be one of the surprise teams. I feel as though I think they're a team that I think they're gonna probably make the playoffs, but the injuries, man, you don't know how guys' health is gonna hold up, especially when they had past incidents of injuries, nagging injuries, big time major injuries. I allow Joel Embiid, who's a good player. But moving back over to the West, Golden State, like I said, they kept all their guys. Your Durant, everybody stayed. Curry got a big contract. Then you bring in, like I said, Nick Young, Omar Caspi, and they got a guy from Chicago, Jordan Bell. I don't know if he's gonna get a lot of playing time over McGee, over what's that bum's name? I can't even think of his name. Their starting center. He's a bum. I can't even think of his name. I don't know why. But Jordan Bell, look out for him because he has a chance. He's a good shot blocker. He's an athletic player. You definitely have to watch for him. But for the most part, I still see that team pretty much dominating. a better Western Conference. I still see them dominating just because look at all that firepower. And these guys got another season under their belt. I don't see major injury withholding. I don't see anybody really beating them in a 7-game series. I really don't. Next, San Antonio. They keep their core intact. They bring in Rudy Gay. I'm mad about the Simmons. I'm mad about them losing Simmons. That's a big loss. It's a big loss just because he was a guy. He was a good athlete. He was a good defender, and he was improving offensively. So they just let him walk. That would have been nice to keep him. Then you bring in Rudy Gay. With Greg Popovich, they need those athletes. It's your older team. You got a Pau Gasol. You got LaMarcus Aldridge, who a lot of people in San Antonio don't really like him right now. Well, I haven't liked him for the last couple of years just because of effort. Like I said, Gasol's older. Tony Parker's older. Patty Mills, you're paying him a lot of money. You're paying him starter money. So it's gonna be tough because they didn't make a bunch of improvements with the team. Rudy Gay was the only notable guy that they brought in. So, and especially when the Western Conference, when these teams are getting better, at least from overall personnel. One team, Houston. Like I said, they bring in Chris Paul. Talked about them a little bit earlier when I was talking about the games. Bring in Chris Paul, playing with James Harden. Biggest issue with them, defensively. Got a lot of shooters, not a lot of good defenders. Chris Paul's a good defender. James Harden is not. And majority of that squad is not. Clinton Capella's a guy who can block shots. But for the most part, they're not going to be good defensively. Mike D'Antoni is your coach. They're going to try to outscore teams, and they're going to lose again in the playoffs. You can't play that way. You can't play that way and expect to beat good teams. But I guess we'll wait and see. If they can't, they're going to be one of the higher scoring teams in basketball. They're going to put up a lot of threes. They're going to make a lot of threes. But I don't see them really making it past the second round in the playoffs. Next team, Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, and I'm not doing it in particular order, just whatever comes to my mind. Oklahoma City Thunder, bring in Paul, like I talked about this team, bring in Paul George, bring in Carmelo. They didn't get much better in terms of bench. You still got Steven Adams, who's a very good center, he's a solid center. Roberson, bad offensive player, crap free throw shooter, but good defender. He's gonna make the other guy that he's defending work. Okay. The bench. Raymond Felton. Nick Collison's old. That's my issue with the team. Taj Gibson's gone. He would have been a nice guy to keep around as that backup big. He's gone. I got a lot of young guys. The bench is gonna be an issue. Especially if they have some injuries to one of their key players, the bench is going to be an issue. Now, we will say, well, Westbrook won all those games with those guys. Yeah, and they're going to be good. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. They're going to win a lot of games, 50-plus easily. They're going to win 50-plus games easily. But it's all how well will these guys play together in the regular season. Looking at preseason, not going to judge them on preseason, but just looking at it, some of the same issues, especially with a guy like Melo coming into this other season, ball stopping. They can't do that in the regular season. They can't do that in the playoffs against good teams. You're going to lose. So will the ball movement improve as the regular season goes on? Preseason, it don't matter. Guys are going to play. There's going to be some schoolyard pickup BS. But can the ball movement get better, especially with all these egos, where these guys were the star players on each of their teams? Now they have to share between two other guys who are superstar players. Well, I wouldn't say Melo's really a superstar at this point. Good scorer. He's a good scorer, but superstar, probably not anymore. But we'll have to see, though. He's a guy who can put up a bunch of points, so you got to give him that. He just can miss a lot of shots. But hitting those Minnesota Timberwolves. Trying to make sure I don't forget another team. Whatever, I'll talk about them. Minnesota Timberwolves, bring in Jimmy Butler, huge. Bring in Taj Gibson as a big bench guy. Still got Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, and your coach is Tom Thibodeau. They should be one of the better defensive teams in basketball. Jimmy Butler's going to add an extra edge to that team defensively. He did it in Chicago. He wanted to stay in Chicago. Still annoyed that Chicago gave him up for nothing. Absolutely nothing. But he's a huge acquisition for them, and that's a team to look out for that people aren't really talking about. Of course, people talking about OKC, people talking about Houston. They're not talking about that Timberwolves team, maybe just because it's Minnesota or whatever. But they have their three core guys really good. Anthony Towns is getting better. Andrew Wiggins is getting better. Young team, good coach. He's gonna get 110% out of those guys. So that's also they bring in Jeff Teague, another nice pickup at that point guard position. So that's a team to definitely look out for. Next team, I'll talk about the Clippers for a second. Of course, you lose Chris Paul. Patrick Beverley's your starting point guard. It's now time for Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan to step up. DeAndre Jordan has to get better offensively. The guy can't make a hook shot right at the basket. If he's not dunking it, he's not making it. Majority of the time, he has to get better. Blake Griffin, his health has been a concern. He's been getting injured constantly in the playoffs and really hurting his team chances to advance further. But more is going to be on his shoulder this season than ever in his career. Well, before getting like Chris Paul, there's going to be a lot of weight on his shoulders. It's just lost to Chris Paul. It just hasn't been. He's their best player now. So I want to see how he plays, how the team improves, how they find out how to play without Chris Paul, because he did so much for that team. Next team, New Orleans Pelicans. Made a huge trade getting DeMarcus Cousins. Didn't really go well. They didn't win too many games. And I predicted them to make the playoffs when they got him, but they clearly need more time. Had a whole offseason. They had the remainder of last season. Had their whole offseason training camp, preseason. You expect them to be better. Now, overall, in terms of the personnel, you bring in a Rondo. Yes, he can create for others. Poor outside shooting. Does not fill the void that you needed to fill. True Holiday, he's a good shooter. They kept him around. You bring in Tony Allen. Good defender. You can put him on the other team's best player. He's not a good shooter. And his athletic ability is starting to diminish as he ages. So they didn't really fix necessarily the issue, which was outside shooting. They need guys who better spread the floor, or teams are going to pack the lane against those two bigs. Also, how these guys are going to play together. Because you kind of saw, if you see two superstars kind of join each other teams. Same thing happened in Miami. Same thing happened in Golden State. Although Golden State, just so much talent, they were still able to overcome that, despite it being Durant's first season there. Guys trying to get out of each other's way, instead of kind of like playing in a flow, really letting, running the sets and everything. They overpass. You see that a lot when, players trying to play with another superstar, they overpass. Like I said, it happened in Miami, happened in Golden State last year. So hopefully they got, at this point, they should. They should be able to play together with each other. That didn't sound right. You know what I meant. But that's pretty much the last team. Memphis, you still got Conley, still got Marc Gasol, but they're a team. They were on the decline. They're close to rebuild mode. So you honestly can't expect a lot out of them. The surprise team, because Eastern Conference, I did have a surprise team, which was the 76ers, which is really not that much of a surprise. They do have some talent in the East. It's not good. It's not good. The surprise team, the Western Conference. That's tough. Maybe the Clippers, but I don't know. I honestly don't think so. Could I say the Timberwolves? No, a lot of people predicting them making the playoffs. I can't really say it's a surprise team. I have to start watching. As the season goes on, it's really hard to say who the surprise team out of that conference really is going to be. It's hard to say for any of these conferences, for either conference. But I feel as though the team that's on top, more than likely going to stay on top. OKC is going to be better. Golden State's going to stay at the top in that Western Conference. It's going to be really a fight. Eastern Conference is going to really be a fight between Cleveland and Boston. Maybe the Wizards, but the Wizards are bad. They have to improve their road crappiness. They've been terrible on the road. They were terrible on the road in the playoffs. So they have to improve that. But let me know what you think. Regular season starts tonight. I talked about that. You got two pretty big games with two superstars, storylines. Of course, the Kyrie, Cleveland, heading back to Cleveland in a Boston Celtics uniform. How's he going to interact with LeBron? That's going to be interesting to see. Definitely going to be watching tonight. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. What do you think about the NBA season coming up? Do you care? Do you hate seeing all these, teams with all these superstars joining each other? I do, but I guess I'm some kind of masochist or something. So, because I keep watching it, just because I'm an NBA fan. NBA was, basketball was the first sport that I really loved. So I'm gonna keep watching. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. Like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.